Let's hear more from Matthew, who is part of this cool event, and full credit to him. He really ran that himself with the help of Nigel and the technical team. Matthew, give us a quick recap.
Yeah, so this was a really exciting event. As Ben said, this was a set of challenges in Plutus development that will really help to expand the ecosystem and our capacities. I think that the things that people worked on in the Capstone Challenge will be used by the ecosystem at large. So this is a really exciting event. Especially exciting for us was the structure of the event. We had Plutus developers from IOHK as well as our Plutus partners partnering with and collaborating with graduates of our Plutus Pioneer program. And so this was people working very close together for 3 8-hour periods following the sun around the world during the Cardano Summit. So it was really exciting, and I'm glad that I got to spend a bit of time catching up with the winners of the Capstone. So let's jump over to them. So before we dive into the winning projects, I'd like to take a step back and remember that this is the Plutus Pioneers Capstone. So all the participants in this Capstone Challenge were participants in the Plutus Pioneers course. So I'd like to hear from you guys, what drew you to Plutus development and how the experience of the course was for you?
Hi, my name's Eli Salkin, and I joined the second cohort of Plutus Pioneers program, and I was drawn to Plutus Pioneers by a friendly invite from Matthias Siva, and I was always slightly interested in blockchain technologies, and I had understood the value of potential equality that they produce around the world, but I hadn't been satisfied with the methods that a lot of other technologies like Ethereum and Bitcoin use to usher in this type of equality with the carbon costs and all that stuff. And so with Plutus, I saw a potential for development in a clean way with still a focus on producing equality across the globe.
Thanks for that introduction, Eli. Now, can you give us just a brief introduction to your project? What did you work on for the Capstone Challenge?
I created a parameterized piggy bank, and you might think of a non-parameterized piggy bank similar to the gift contract introduced early in the Plutus Pioneers program. But in this contract, though, you have a validator that is parameterized by a type I call a bank param.
I heard that our judges were, in particular, very impressed with your concurrency implementation.
Yeah, really, it's all thanks to Lars Brunjus's excellent education in the Plutus Pioneer program that I understood parameterization and the on-chain and off-chain separation that make the program efficient. Also, thanks to the people behind the Plutus Starter repository that guaranteed forking off it would create a seamless experience.
So you have a really interesting dApp, including a innovative implementation of concurrency. So I would be interested to hear where you see this dApp being used, how you imagine it being deployed in the weeks and months ahead.
So I see the application of this particular project to be for, say, parents that have children who own wallets, and with their public key caches, the parents can pay funds to each of their piggy banks. Then when the children have sufficient funds, they can empty their piggy banks into their own wallets. It's a bit of a toy example, but it's a foundation of a lot of potentially larger ideas. I'm working with a team on areas where multiple parties can use parameterized addresses for all sorts of independent and concurrent transactions. And we're building on the Plutus application backend to easily interact with these contracts.
Well, this is a great start, and I think that we are really excited to see those larger ideas come to fruition. So thank you, Eli, and let's head over to Matthias.
My name is Matthias Siva. I would say that the ethos of Cardano drew me into developing products and services that shall make a positive impact. And my experience with the first cohort of the Plutus Pioneers program was great in that it gave me a decent understanding of how to develop decentralized applications on Cardano that actually have a positive social impact.
Thanks, Matthias. So can you tell us a little bit about your project? What is it and what does it do?
Win-Win is a dispute resolution marketplace that allows disputing parties to settle their issues outside the courts in a timely and cost-effective manner with the help of certified mediators. The name Win-Win comes from the fact that in mediation, the goal is to satisfy the interests of all parties involved.
That is a really interesting use case. Maybe you could tell us how blockchain is integral to this tool that you're creating, and why in particular Cardano?
The mediator in Western societies is commonly a third-party neutral, so bias is something that should be avoided. A mediator should have no knowledge about which party paid first, as that is bias-forming information. Also, a mediator should not be running after their money. Similarly, when a mediation actually does not happen due to the mediator's absence, parties should be able to be refunded right away, and smart contracts help with that. So we partner with credential issuing institutions to mint the certification on the Cardano blockchain, so parties do not have to verify the claimed credentials themselves through a manual process, which they rarely do anyway because it's too complicated without the blockchain. It's too time consuming. It's just not worth it. So we build on Cardano because it's the right thing to do, really. Mediation, after all, is a peace building process.
Well, it sounds like you guys are going places. So it's really great to get to have you come make some progress on your work at the Capstone Challenge. Now let's head over to Oscar. Oscar, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I am Oscar, or as you find me on the internet, Titan C. I am from Ecuador, and currently I live in Germany. And if you have ever had to change your home country, you probably have a hard, painful experience around this. And that's because moving your entire identity, your money, your property, educational certificates is just hard, and it shouldn't be. And that is what drove me to cryptocurrencies, because they provide a path, an alternative, a way to actually be in control of these things. And this is a future, this is an alternative I want to build. When the Pioneer program was announced, I was just happy to join, because it was an opportunity to have mentorship around Plutus, Cardano, the ecosystem. And I think Lars did just a wonderful job teaching all these concepts.
Thanks, Oscar. So can you give us a brief intro to your project? Just tell us what it is and what it does.
My project is a transaction editor. In a blockchain, we use transactions to update the state of the ledger. And whereas a general user has a wallet to create their spending transactions, stakepool operators and developers, we need more powerful tools because we have other responsibilities and we have other things to try out. The tool we generally use is the Cardano CLI, the command line interface, which is very powerful. But you have to specify step by step which are the instructions you want to execute to craft your transaction. And this process, although precise, and that is what gives it the power, it becomes really cumbersome as the scope of your transaction grows. So the next thing we do to manage this complexity is to write scripts that wrap certain kind of functionalities. And the problem with this approach is that it's hard to combine or compose on top of the scripts. So I thought, what is my alternative? And I came up with the idea that if I'm doing a transaction, what I want to be able to do is start from a template where I would put the values, where I would write my intentions, what I want to create a new token, to write metadata, to talk with a smart contract, and then edit this in a human-readable way, which then later my tool, my software, would process and create the instructions I needed to craft this transaction. So it was born a transaction editor.
So how do you see your tool being expanded with further development and use?
There are still many things to do. For example, with smart contracts, you need a supporting tool to keep track of your contracts and the datum and redeemer pair to unlock the contract. Thus, the transaction editor needs now a database to store this information and make it available to the user. A second area for improvement is in the same way your document editor, your word processor, has a spell checker and a grammar checker to warn you early on about typos and other errors. The transaction editor needs a way to warn the user early on about mistakes he might be introducing into his transactions that would make it invalid. Currently, the editor either succeeds or fails, and it's hard to debug why the transaction is not working. Finally, I would like to elevate this editor into the domain of a wallet. That is, give it capabilities of managing your keys, creating a hierarchical deterministic wallet, and connect it to a hardware wallet for signing with your keys in cold storage. And with those capabilities, I believe this would be a fantastic and very powerful wallet I would love to use, and that's why I'm building it. And equally, I welcome users and contributors to help me shape this project into a tool everybody would love to use.
So these have been some really interesting projects. We are very excited about the output of this Capstone challenge, all the amazing work that you have done, as well as the other winners and all of the participants. For you three in particular, I'm sure there will be people who have watched this interview who are excited about the project that you've worked on and who would like to follow up with you on your project. So how would they get in contact? How would they follow up?
I'm rather old-fashioned in this, but I like email. Email is a wonderful medium for me because I can keep track of my communications. I am on GitHub, and my project is on GitHub. I joined also the IOHK Discord. I am there with all other pioneers, and you can reach me there.
You can find me on the IoT Technical Community Discord server under the handle MKS. You can also send me a message on LinkedIn or IdeaScale. You will find me under my name, Matthias Siva.
The easiest way to get in contact with me either is on the IOG Discord at eponymous Eli, or on Twitter at Salkin Eli. Those are probably the two best ways to get in contact with me.
So although we only had time to talk with 3 of our winners, we would like to give a shout out to all 7 of them. So really quickly, here are the names of the projects and the Discord usernames of the project winners. So we have the NFT authentication tool by Ganesh, Cardano CLI wallet test tool by Dami 2018 developer, Cardano CLI transaction editor by TitanC, Cardano CLI integration testing toolkit by Flippy, Tokenomia native tokens toolbox by Nicholas Hinnon, and then the win-win dispute resolution application by MKS, and the piggy bank savings application by eponymous Eli. Thank you all for your amazing work at the Capstone, and thank you to all the participants as well.